Okay. Hey everyone, and welcome to Smart Moves. We are excited, as you can tell by Slicky up there, to be doing our first official deck showcase episode on this new channel for the Witchwood here. I'm Setsuko, joined by Slicky as always, and today we are showcasing some hunter decks. So if you're not familiar with the channel, you know what we do here is we just try to come up with interesting deck ideas that actually use the cards from the expansion, whether they're good or not. Not necessarily trying to run these decks into Legend, but have a good time and not totally get stomped every single time with them. So that's what we're going to do today, specifically with the hunter class. But before that, we have a couple of news items. So we'll just talk about the big one, right? Ben Brode is leaving not only the Hearthstone team, but Blizzard altogether. And I think, genuinely a little bit sad about that. I don't think I've really cared before. There were big names who left companies and went on to do different things. I know one of the major WoW designers left, and he works on League of Legends now, and whatever. But I think Brode was the charismatic public figure for Hearthstone, and between his raps and his laugh and everything else, I think he will be sorely missed by the community. And we'll see. We'll see what happens moving on in the future. I think at this point he was more focused on the direction of the game and not necessarily the design of the game at the lower level. So chances are the game will continue on in a similar fashion. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Do you have anything you want to say, or you want to add to that, or?
I feel like I don't know. Like I always make fun of people that follow the lives of celebrities and stuff, and I'm like, oh, why would you follow the lives of celebrities? But Ben Brode, it's like, this is a creator that makes something that I care about. I guess I feel like the way Steve Jobs did when he died, or not, Steve Jobs, the people that followed Steve Jobs, it's like, come on, this is something I actually care about, and I care about the direction it's going in. Now the main guy's leaving. And I don't think Hearthstone's going to crash and burn because they've got a good template, but he was definitely the face of Hearthstone. And anytime I see these Hearthstone videos, it's always very canned. It's like, here's the script, here's some production designer,
Yeah. Especially
reading off the script.
the most recent one about the monster hunt.
Yeah,
Did you watch that one?
yeah, I did.
Yeah, it seemed very, and even when you knew Brode was reading a script, he still just seemed genuine about it.
Yeah, he was he probably wrote his own script, I assume, but he didn't act like a bad actor.
Mm-hmm.
And he would also do Q&As with the community, and he made response videos and stuff to Crip's criticisms of Hearthstone, and he made his raps, and it was all off the cuff. It was very obviously off the cuff, most of this stuff. Even the rap, he had that one part where he's like, I can't believe you guys convinced me to do this. He was he honestly liked the game, and he honestly wanted to make it better, and he communicated with the community. And I don't think anybody is going to fill that role the way he did.
Right.
So,
yeah, I agree. So let's not cry too much about our collectible card game dad leaving us. And we'll talk about a couple other pieces of news. There's an arena hotfix coming. Not going to get too much into that. Just know there have been some issues with the arena, and they're working on sorting them out. So hopefully the arena will be in a better place next week.
Heaven.
And also, it was announced that the Monster Hunt is going to be released on Thursday, April 26th. So that's going to be coming out here pretty soon. They showed off a little video for it, showed some of the different classes and treasures, and I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited about some of the stuff that I saw in the video. There's some pretty... I like that it isn't... I both like and dislike that it's not combined with Dungeon Run, because they didn't just copy everything over and go, here's some special hero powers. There are, treasures and special enemies and brand new stuff, and I think that's really cool. But at the same time, I wish they would just make this thing like one big, damn awesome roguelike with everything in it and a reason to play it beyond the little card back. So...
I didn't know that there was. I didn't know that it wasn't going to be included when the Witchwood came out, and I was really disappointed because there was no the solo adventure button wasn't highlighted or anything, and I was like, that's weird. I feel like there should be something that's like, go play some, Witchwood runs, and I didn't have them, and then I clicked on it. It was like 2 weeks.
Yep.
And I thought, well, that's really weird.
They wanted people to be focused on playing the new cards and discovering the new meta and everything. That's the reasoning they gave for delaying it by 2 weeks. But that's pretty much what we've been doing. So I don't feel like Thursday is too far away. So
yeah, yeah, I'm excited about it. I do wish maybe not necessarily what you're talking about. It seems like you're talking about I don't know, a new hero or special card or something. But something I think that would be cool is if they did provide some sort of, I don't know, maybe if there was one particular boss or something in the monster hunt that just gave you 100 gold if you managed to beat him. And he was super rare. But if you ran into him, you'd be like, holy shit, I've got the 100 gold guy. I'm going to get 100 gold when this is done. That would be really cool. Something that does actually interact with the game in some way. Even if it's really infrequent, it would give you this really rewarding feeling if you actually did play that run.
Because you're actually trying to hunt down that monster. That'd be pretty dope if they did little bounties, like a little bounty system.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see when it comes out. I think it looks like a lot of fun, though.
I'm sure it will be.
Pretty sure that, once I've beaten it all, like I did with Kobolds and Catacombs, I'll very rarely, if ever, go back to it.
Yeah.
So
that's really sad, yeah. There's such a completionist feeling. Because, right, I think there was a Reddit post I talked about at one point that I don't remember why I was talking about it, but it said something about, oh, do you guys actually use such and such system when you're doing something? And he was talking about a leveling system in some video game. And I was like, well, I get bored if I'm not, progressing something.
Right.
And so, with Hearthstone, I've got all my characters to 60 now, so the only thing left for me to do is get them all in Golden Portraits and hit Legend. And I was rank 2 last month, and I was just tied up with projects and stuff, so I didn't have time to grind it out. But once I do all that stuff, I'm worried I'm just going to be, bored and not play anymore. But we'll see.
That's what the show's for. I don't know. The show helps keep me motivated to not only try new decks, but try classes that I don't play very often and, try to get creative and get better at deck building. So I think that's a good segue into our deck showcase. So today we're talking about Hunter. And, we work on these decks throughout each of the weeks leading up to the show. We try different variations. I know I personally, I do a lot of research, kind of well, what's good, what's not good, why are people playing this, why aren't they? I don't really let that dictate what I do with my deck, but I just try to look at, maybe I need this little early game control package. What kind of things are working for other hunters, and what's the reason they're working, and how can I apply that maybe to my own deck and stuff. So, we don't exclusively play this class leading up to the show, but we do play a lot of that class. So what have been your impressions over the past week of Hunter? And maybe, kind of where were you with Hunter before Witchwood came in? And has there been any change in your opinion or your enjoyment of Hunter?
Well, I was playing Secret Hunter right as I was closing in on Legend, which I still think is an incredibly powerful archetype. Well, I say Secret Hunter. It was Spell Hunter.
Spell Hunter.
Spell Hunter. But Spell Hunter, especially back then, was entirely dictated by the cards. But even more so now, when you think about, like, a third of the spells that Hunter had are gone now, or however many from the rotation. But that's still a really powerful archetype. I think Spell Hunter is still really, 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 really strong. And in tournaments and stuff, like at high skill level playing, Hunter always had the highest win percentage. Spell Hunter did. So
I think it's honestly, still a tier 2 deck, I believe.
It is tier 2, but that has to do with, I think, lower level people playing it. But if you look at any of like the HCT runs, HCT stops, Hunter's always number 1. It's just the strongest archetype.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to disagree. I was reinforcing, it's still a tier 2 deck, like at least, so still good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying. So I think that's probably the best direction it can go in, but it has gotten some new tools like Wing Blast, because a lot of Hunter's removal is very two-piece. It's like you play Hunter's Mark and you play the bow, or you play a beast and then you play Kill Command. So it's there's a lot of like synergies and stuff you have to nail. If you want to play the Spellstone, you have to play your secrets and you have to play your Spellstone.
Yeah.
So it's that part of it hasn't changed that much, and I think with some of the decks that you and I built, it's still going to be very much that way, where you have to kind of like draw in the right order and play in the right order. And I think there is strength there, but one of the things that Hunter's really bad at is controlling like really wide boards. And I think that since Paladin's doing really well right now, that's probably not going to help Hunter at all.
Yeah, you're just kind of desperately like, explosive trap, please.
Come on, give me that explosive.
And yeah, that doesn't do it. I think I have to agree. Early on playing Hearthstone, I played I think a very tempo Hunter. Not aggro, but just I'm going to play the thing on the board that's better than your thing on the board, and because of that, I'm going to win. And I liked that, and it gradually went away and just, was moving more and more and more towards, if you want to play Hunter, you got to play hyper aggro. And then I didn't get the bow in Kobolds and Catacombs, so I didn't get to try Spell Hunter. So coming into Witchwood, I just haven't really played Hunter in a long time, not seriously. So it was interesting for me in the sense that I kind of had to, not just conceptually, but through experience, learn like, okay, well, how good is this stuff in Hunter? And because I was just really out of touch with it. I do definitely agree with what you were saying, where even with the new tools we've been given, there's a lot of, well, if you want this to happen, you have to do this. A and B, they're interconnected. You can't just fireball something and it's gone. Even your like hard removals, like Deadly Shot or whatever, are still random. Like, so. But that being said, I've had actually a lot of fun playing the Hunter, specifically with the kind of deck that I'll be showcasing today. And I can see myself... I think I've found a Hunter deck that may not be amazing, but will be something that I want to continue to iterate on. And that's pretty cool. So, all right. So we're going to get into, since Slicky chose Hunter this week, he's going to be showcasing his deck last. So we're going to jump in and talk about my deck. Talk about my deck. So this is a wild deck. It's called Drake Hunter. And the reason for this is it revolves around dragons. Yes, it's a dragon hunter, and a lot of, the new dragon we got for Hunter was the Carrion Drake. So I wanted to... I love the artwork, and Dragon Hunter just seemed like a neat concept, so I really wanted to create a deck with this. And I'm going to be, completely honest right from the get-go. I don't actually think Carrion Drake is that good in this deck. I think a different dragon actually would work a little bit better, but that's not in the spirit of the deck, so I wanted to keep it in here. It's not awful, but it is one of those cards like we just talked about where it's like, well, if you want him to be badass and have poisonous, something else has to happen. He's not just naturally a, 3/7 poisonous. You've got to meet the condition. So this was a process for me in trying to figure out how to make this deck. And part of that was because I didn't know how to control the early game as a hunter if I wasn't playing aggro. Right. It's pretty straightforward if you're like, okay, I'm going to do my alley cats. I'm going to do my, the parrot or whatever the hell it's called, the macaw, and I'm just going to keep playing beast, 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 and just aggro out. But that's not what this deck does, because this deck wants to use the dragons, and the cheapest dragon you have is the fairy dragon, I think. The 2 mana 3/2. And that's not in this deck. So I had to figure out, okay, how do I control the early game? And so that's the first chunk of the deck here. So there are a couple of secrets that are in here. You've got Bear Trap and Wandering Monster. I chose these secrets because they give me a minion on the board. I don't have to play a minion. Also, in this case, it's after I'm attacked, it summons the bear. And with the Wandering Monster, you're getting a 3 cost, so usually an early minion will, trigger this secret, and you'll be left with some kind of minion on the board. And that means that you can trigger things like Wing Blast and Carrion Drake without having to actually play a minion from hand. So it lets you enable those combos, just kind of naturally. The other things that Hunter struggles with, one of the big things is card draw, right? So I included Mad Scientist along with a couple of secrets, because if I drop Mad Scientist and he gets killed, he thins out my deck. He puts one of these secrets on board, and now every draw that I draw, if I'm top decking or something, I'm more likely to get one of the better, more powerful cards that I want, because he's pulled that secret out. Or early game, I get a 2/2 on the board, and I get a secret out that'll give me another body to trigger those synergies. I've also got Netherspite Historian, who's not card draw, but is card generation. So I can play this down. I almost always have a dragon in hand, and I can generate another card. So I'm not drawing from my deck, but I'm drawing a dragon, and that goes in with everything else that I wanted to do. And then the other card for card generation is Deathstalker Rexar. Right? You get this online, you get your little 2 damage in. That helps control the board early on, but then you can start doing the Build-A-Beast stuff, and that allows you to not draw more cards, but create more cards that you're able to use. So I was still thinking, okay, what do I do for card draw? And that's when I thought about the Curator. And I was like, okay, this is a dragon deck. Beast, Dragon, Murloc. I don't want to just throw Murlocs in here like for the hell of it to make Curator worth it. I was like, I've got dragons. I'm going to have beasts because I'm Hunter. But do I really want to put them in there if I'm drawing 2 cards every time? And that's when it hit me. I was like, man, Nightmare Amalgam, right? So this counts as a beast for all your beast synergies in Hunter. It counts as a dragon for all your dragon synergies in this deck. And it counts as a Murloc for the Curator. So if you drop Curator on turn 7 and you haven't drawn both of these guys, you're going to get this guy plus a dragon plus a beast. And that's a lot of card draw for Hunter. Between that and the Mad Scientist and the couple of ways to generate cards, it's a lot of card generation, even if you're not drawing your whole deck. And that leads to a lot of games where you have a lot of cards in your hand. With Netherspite Historian, I would say almost always take Immorus if it shows up. The first Immorus, almost always take it, because it sits in your hand as a 10 mana dragon, triggers all your synergies, you can play out everything else, you start building a beast, and then turn 10, you can drop that, and your build a beast have double everything, and it's insane, and you don't have to include it in your deck in a spot. Um, the other stuff we have in here, we've got Animal Companion, just because it's a really strong card. An Eagle Horn Bow to help you with a little early game removal. You've got kill commands to finish off your opponent or remove something on the board. Houndmaster Shaw gives your other minions rush. We've got a couple of rush minions in here with the Scale Worm and the Vilebrood Skitterer, and they can basically ensure that something dies to trigger your other synergies. Twilight Guardian for a little bit of defense early on. And then we have some Word Guards for either late game defense while you're playing out Beast from your Rexar, or if these get hit with Imris, they turn into like 7/22 taunts, and that's really hard to get through. So I think I've had some skewed experiences with this deck, but we're gonna play a game, see how it works, and we'll come back and edit it. All right. So this is a wild deck. We're just gonna jump into wild. Casual.
No, create a standard deck. Do it.
Let's see what we get queued in against. I will say it's like if you're playing against a hyper aggro deck, it's kind of a struggle. But if you're playing against a mid-range or a control deck, you just have so many ways to remove their stuff that it generally works out pretty well. They drop a Void Lord, you run your Skitterer into it, and it's dead. If your Skitterer gets buffed by Imris, like you can a lot of times get 2 or 3 trades off of it.
Wait. You're not saying that your deck can beat Q block, are you?
No, not like tier 1 Q block. I'm just saying it's not awful against them.
Okay.
So against Priest, depending on what kind of Priest they're playing, I'm not super threatened by most Priest early drops. If they're playing Divine Spirit Inner Fire crap, then it's kind of hard to stop that combo, but if they are putting it together and you can kill their minion, that helps. I usually try to fish for Netherspite Historians and Mad Scientists, and I'm okay with keeping a secret here. Oh, and let me put this deck list up here. There we go. All right, so we got 2 secrets, Mad Scientist, our Twilight Guardians for our Dragon synergies.
So are you picky about like Mad Scientist coming out early when you already have 2 secrets in hand? Because you only have 4 secrets total, right?
Yeah, so I want to get Mad Scientist online as soon as possible to get one of those secrets out of my deck. Like, that's card draw. I don't want to top deck those secrets. Who knows when I'll get the second Mad Scientist, and it may be a dead card at that point. And then also I can kind of decide which thing gets pulled with Mad Scientist based on what I play here as well.
I don't think it really matters.
It doesn't.
In this case.
So, I'll play Bear Trap. Now this is wild, so all the cards in the entire game are here, so I have no way to determine, like, this guy could have Dragonfire Potion, whatever. I'm not going to bump in here because it doesn't kill his minion. I could bump and Wing Blast, but that's, a waste. So just going to Animal Companion. And I got Huffer, so I'll trade that in. We're not worried about going face. We're worried about controlling the board. So
There's some big dog outside barking really loudly.
Ooh, it's Silence Priest.
Ooh. That seems fun.
Let's see. If I play Twilight Drake, he just kills it. If I play Scale Worm, I can kill it, but I have no board. Kind of tempted to just play my... I think it's okay to clear.
Okay.
No. Yeah, I'm gonna, just in case he has a Shadow or Death.
Now he's going to think that the card you're holding is Wandering Monster, since you dropped its health.
Ooh.
Oh, he's giving it Valence Chosen.
Wait.
He didn't order that right.
What?
Oh,
Okay.
priceless. Oh, man.
That was a derp moment.
Okay. I think you got this one. As this guy can figure out which one's the mouse, he might be able to beat you, but I don't know if that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go face. See what I can get out of this nether spike. So no Emrys. We can take a Carrion Drake. That'll let us kill off any big stuff that he puts out to silence. And yeah. We could trade something into that thing and play Carrion Drake. Another eerie statue.
Let's see what he buffs it with before he silences it.
Oh, this is good. So we can trade here, kill their minion, trigger our Carrion Drake.
And Wing Blast.
And Wing Blast the 7/4.
If he doesn't heal it. I don't guess he has mana. I'm not sure. Nope.
Alright. That's the plan. So we trade here. That triggers our Carrion Drake. We'll Wing Blast this thing. Go face.
Bogace.
Go face. Alright. Nice. Okay. So he's gonna heal it. Alright, we got Eaglehorn Bow. I think we can trade this stuff off and Eaglehorn Bow to finish it off, and then run the Scale Worm into the Owl. And then that's a full board clear. We take 7 damage for that. I don't know if that's worth it. Yeah, let's do it. Because we're going to get the... We'll definitely play this. Because we'll get the secret off here, which will give us an extra durability. And, yeah, we'll take the 7 face damage. It'd be nice to get Rexar here. You really want to try to get Rexar sometime early on. I mean, you don't have much choice for that, but... Okay.
Maybe he'll silence her.
Well,
you can just push. How much face damage is that? 10 face damage this turn.
Yeah.
And force him to trade.
Yeah.
And you could also play Twilight Guardian, and he won't even be able to kill it.
Wow.
No.
Yeah, because he'll have to Shadow Word Pain to get through it.
Yeah. Tortola, preserve us.
That's fine, because... Yeah.
Is someone injured?
Okay.
Oh, you're about to wrap it up. Wrap it up, B.
All right.
7.
So don't diss on these skitterers, man. They're gross.
Don't diss on the skin.
That's right. These things great.
Sentences I never thought I'd hear for 1,000, Alex. Oh, look at him. He's BMing. You're rude.
Can't help it. So you can see, like, we're running out of steam there a little bit. That's where you really want to have Deathstalker Rexar online as soon as possible. Because at that point, I need to just hero power and start getting stuff in my hands. But yeah, that's the dragon deck.
Cool. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so real quick, I'll mention a couple things. So we didn't get the Curator for that card draw. That does make a big difference, along with Rexar for the card generation. Everything else, is just kind of icing on the cake. But those two are pretty important, and we didn't get to see them. So I think the deck I won, but I still think it didn't look as strong as it potentially is with those two cards coming into play. So... all right, so now we're gonna toss it over to Slicky, and he's gonna talk about whether he has any questions, suggestions, or anything like that for the deck. So
Well, it seems like everything worked pretty well. You got to have those. We didn't really get to see it in action that much, but Twilight Guardian is really important for those aggro matchups. I kind of don't like having Bear Trap because they do kind of the same thing. I'm wondering if you maybe want like Explosive Trap just because of some of the more instead of one of those. But like if it works, it works. Houndmaster Shaw. Have you been having any success with Houndmaster or no?
I have. So if Houndmaster Shaw gets hit by Emrys, he's a 6/12, and that's pretty hard to get rid of. So if you get lucky and you get that combo, he sticks around quite a while. Also, if you get him behind a Twilight Guardian, that helps because you have the taunt. And then as you can see, there's just a lot of good ways to keep the board clear. So usually not dropping him early. You drop him early and now you're trying to contest the board with him, and that's not great. But if you can have a thing or two on board and you can use your Skitterer to get rid of whatever big threat there is and then follow that up with Houndmaster Shaw, he usually can stay on the board for a couple turns. You can drop the Twilight Guardian, you can drop the Worm Guard, you might get another taunt style dragon from the Historian. So there's ways to keep him online. Some of the earlier iterations of the deck that I had, that wasn't really the case, but this version, I've had some success with him.
Okay, it seems solid. I think it's a solid deck. Solid.
All right, so the last part here of looking at the deck is kind of going over the epics and the legendaries and seeing what we might replace things with in case you wanted to make this deck a little bit more budget. The fortunate thing is there aren't too many things in here. So the Nightmare Amalgams, I put those in there because they combo well with the Curator and everything, but if I were to take them out, I would say definitely replace them with a dragon.
You need the synergy that bad?
Yeah. I think in order to make sure that you're able to hit those synergies all the time, which is what this deck is kind of built around, I would try to replace them with a good dragon. If you can't do that, put a good beast in there.
I don't think it would be a bad idea to replace it with maybe Fairy Dragon, because you don't you have some early game stuff, but it's not really that strong, and Fairy Dragon can contest the early board for a pretty long time.
Yeah.
So that might be a good pick.
And Fairy Dragon is what, a common?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's old though. It's classic, I guess.
Yeah. Houndmaster Shaw is really just kind of a kind of a win more, apply more pressure to the board sort of a minion. You could swap him out for what's it called? Is it not that Kodo? What's the charge? Your beasts have charge.
It's a Rhino.
Oh, okay. Tundra Rhino. You could do like a Tundra Rhino. You could just slam a good, just a generically good, well-statted Hunter minion in there. Whatever kind of 4-drop, 3-drop, maybe a 5-drop that you wanted to put in there. Twilight Guardians, they're good for the taunt. That's specifically why I put them in there. But there are other dragons that work just as well. Midnight Drakes or Twilight Drakes, they're not quite as good. Azure Drakes I had in there for some extra card draw earlier on. So, just slam a different, cheaper dragon in there.
I don't think Blackwing Corruptor would be that bad because it's kind of a tempo-based deck.
Right, I agree. And like I said, you want to be able to kind of control the board. So, Blackwing's okay. I thought about Cobalt because it's a really powerful card, but you don't always have something on board for it to buff, and you don't have a lot of things. So, I ultimately decided against putting it in there. Deathstalker Rexar, if you were going to take Deathstalker Rexar out, then I would look for a way to generate card value, or I would look for add some more early game control. So
Nefarian might be a good replacement. I know he's legendary, but he comes for free if you have that expansion. And also a card. Well, no, I was going to say another legendary, but that wouldn't be great. But a card that I'm running in my deck that we can talk some more about is Ravencaller. Ravencaller just generates tons and tons and tons of value.
Yep.
So it's not a bad pickup if you want something that just gives you more stuff.
That's really what you want.
Bone Drake's a really good one too.
Yeah, Bone Drake. If you couldn't have Deathstalker Rexar and the Curator, I would go Bone Drakes. And the main reason is because Hunter struggles with card draw, so you're compensating for that by just generating more good stuff that synergizes with your deck. And that's what Deathstalker Rexar and the Curator are doing. So generally, for most of the epics that are in here, just replace them with another strong dragon or a strong, well-statted Hunter card. For Houndmaster Shaw in particular, just find yourself a good 4-drop Hunter card with some good stats on it. I actually did some stuff with the Dire Frenzy. That's okay. It's good on Vilebrood Skitterer, and if you can put it on a Huffer from your Animal Companion, it's pretty dope. Also, Infested Wolf. It's a 3/3, but it gives you 2 1/1s, and that helps you trigger like your Carrion Drake and your Wing Blast as well. So that's a good substitution. And then for Rexar and the Curator, just look for ways to generate more cards. Bone Drakes are good for that. So, and if you put the Bone Drakes in, you've got enough dragons that you can swap out those Nightmare Amalgams for a strong Hunter Beast instead. So,
Bear Shark.
Yeah, Bear Shark. Yeah, I think that about covers it. I do want to mention that I played with several versions of this deck. If, for some reason, you're still short on that stuff, like Stitch Tracker is not that bad. You drop a 2/2, you discover a copy of a minion in your deck, and that gives you more dragons and more beasts and things like that you can get an extra, Carrion Drake or something. So these work
Stitch
too.
Tracker is generally a very good card if you have a very strong deck, except for Stitch Tracker.
Yeah. It's not a very powerful play on its own, but it will give you, tools and resources if you're missing them when you're trying to build the deck. So, all right, I think that sums it up for the Drake Hunter. Woo. So,
my turn.
Now. We're going to take a look at Slicky's deck, which he has called Poison Toys.
Poison Toys.
So I've got the deck list up here in my collection, so I can hover over the things as you talk about them.
Okay.
But go ahead and tell us about the concept of the deck and how the cards work together.
Bottom line is, I wanted to make a Toxmonger deck because I thought this is like the coolest card I've ever seen. It's really cool. Um, the biggest problem with this deck is against aggro, it's too slow. And a lot of times, if you're playing against like slower decks, you end up not drawing the things you need. So even though it is a really cool card, a lot of times it doesn't work well. But that just wanting to play Toxmonger is the inspiration for pretty much all of my early game cards. I have Argent Squire, Elven Archer, and Stone Tusk Boar because they're all really good with poison. Argent Squire, you get 2 poison hits. Elven Archer, you get 2 poison hits. Stone Tusk Boar, you get 1 poison hit, but it happens when you need it. Elven Archer is definitely better. Stone Tusk Boar is just the best third card I could find. I tried some other stuff. I tried Shield Bearer, and I didn't even think about at the time. It doesn't deal damage. Shield Bearer won't poison anything.
Yeah.
It just dies. Wax Elemental just dies. So you have to have something that deals damage. You can, if you want to make a more defensive build, we can talk about this later, but if you want a more defensive build, you can do Argent Squire to get a cheap taunt that has poison, which can also be really handy. And then most of the rest of the early game are different iterations that I did, trying to just keep early control of the board until you can get a Toxmonger online. But Toxmonger and Houndmaster Shaw, they kind of go hand in hand in the sense that, like, you want one or the other, because if you don't have either, you're just going to lose. So that's where the Stitch Trackers come in.
Yep.
Stitch Tracker is really instrumental in pulling out one of those two. But ideally, when you start the game, what you're trying to mulligan for is Tol'vir Warden. Because you don't want to just draw into a bunch of 1-drops. It's good on turn 1, it's bad the rest of the game. You only want those once you got Houndmaster Shaw or Toxmonger online. Otherwise, they're kind of useless. I mean, you can do a little bit with them. And Flesh-Eating Ghoul is kind of something I came up with later to kind of cut your losses. Like, well, I've got all these 1/1s on board. I don't have anything else. What am I going to do? Well, I can drop a Flesh-Eating Ghoul, and then I'm going to have like a 6/3 on board on turn 3. That's not bad. So that's kind of just an idea. The Flesh-Eating Ghoul is definitely a card that can be swapped out. It's not that great. Ravencaller is probably my favorite card of the expansion so far. And it's cheap, and it's awesome. Ravencaller can get you, I mean, it says random 1-cost, but think about what some of the random 1-costs are. There's Void Walkers.
And we're talking
Righteous Protectors.
Standard.
There's Chameleos. There's so many good 1-drops. There's so many good 1-drops. A Glacial Shard, just anything. Like, all the 1-drops are really, really, really good. It's really rare that there's just like a bad 1-drop. Angry Chicken, yeah, that can happen, but it usually doesn't. Sometimes we'll get Dead Scale Knight. But I've gotten Chameleos multiple times in a row, and just being able to have Chameleos in a different class is fantastic. And you get it for free. You don't have to take up a card slot. So your odds of getting something really useful off of Ravencaller is great, and it synergizes with Toxmonger. So I highly suggest running this card if you're just trying to generate lots and lots of value. It's a really good card. And when I first showed this deck to Setsuko, he was like, well, what's the point of it? You just spam 1-drops? And I was like, no, you control the board with your Toxmonger and stuff, and then you deal chip damage, and then you win later in the game. And sometimes that does work. But then I also thought, like, well, I guess I don't really have a win condition. You just control the board for as long as you can. So I added in some Spellstones because I was already using some secrets to try to control the board early. Secrets in the Eaglehorn Bow. So now that's kind of the win condition. That and Deathstalker Rexar. And if neither of those pan out, if late game you just don't have anything in your hand, you play Azalina Soul Thief, which nobody plays, so nobody ever sees it coming, and then you're just exactly where your opponent is. I stole a guy's Sulfurous with this yesterday because he didn't play it the same turn he got it, and I ended up beating him with Ragnaros Hero Power. There's all kinds of cool stuff you can do with Azalina. So that's the kind of long and short of my deck.
Okay. Well, if you want to jump in, I will spectate your game.
You spectate it, baby.
And we will see how this
Oh,
plays
that's my real name.
Yeah, it doesn't show. It's behind the deck list and everything, so.
Oh, because that big deck list of yours.
So are you doing standard casual?
Yep, this is standard causal.
All right. Well, let me load up real quick.
I'm playing against Lunara. She's a druid. I think she's a centaur.
All right, we're good.
Okay. So generally speaking, druids are going to be kind of slower decks. He's standard, so I know he doesn't have any kind of Jade synergies, but he might be doing a hand sort of thing, which means his main drops aren't going to come down until turn 4. He's probably going to play like Ferocious Howl on turn 3. Turn 4, he's going to play Whispering Woods. So I think I'm going to get rid of everything except for Tolvir Warden and just hope for an Explosive Trap.
Hey,
we got one!
None will survive.
Ooh, I like this. Okay, so if he's Odd Druid, that means he does not have Whispering Woods.
so what are you looking for on the tracker here?
Well, I think we have to kind of look at what we have in our hand. Oh shit, I forgot. We got that like 45-second thing now.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have anything to play on 2, and I don't want to activate Explosive Trap yet, so I'm going to go ahead and pick this because I don't have a coin, so I'm not going to be able to play anything next turn except for the shot. And Steady Shot really doesn't come into play a lot with this deck. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the weapon. And next turn we'll Stitch Tracker.
And what are you looking for with the Stitch Tracker?
We want Toxmonger. If we can get him, we want Toxmonger because you want to be able to drop that at any time and start getting value off of it. Of course, you can't get value off of it until after turn 4. Hey, there's Houndmaster. So we don't have to look for him. Just Stitch Tracker. Or, we didn't get, what was the other one? Toxmonger. Yeah, Toxmonger. Okay, I took Ravencaller because at this point we don't really have a lot of drops, and you really can't go wrong with just dropping a Ravencaller. You know, like sometimes you want to get greedy and be like, well, I don't want to play Elven Archer unless I've got Toxmonger online. It's always a good idea to play Ravencaller.
Okay.
You're not losing anything, but you're just gaining stuff. I mean, you're losing a little bit of tempo, but right now this guy's not going for tempo at all. I'm not worried about it. And since we picked up our bow earlier, this isn't really an issue. I don't like giving him the mana crystal, but it's either that or we just start taking 3 damage every turn. See what we get. We got a really good 1-drop for our poisonous, and we got a really terrible one. I would play Emerald High Queen, because we're probably not going to play much in the coming turns. But since we already have Tolvir Warden, I really want to play him next turn, so I'm not going to play anything this turn.
Okay. Yes, Gloomstag.
That's your favorite. Okay, so I assume he's about to start dealing face damage to us, which is annoying.
Oh, I'm gonna. You should. Never mind. I'll take care of it.
No. Am I doing something?
No. Just a little bit laggy.
Sorry.
It's my fault.
Okay, I'll go ahead and drop Tolvir Warden. And because we have 8 cards in hands, this will drop us to 7. We'll pick up 2, we'll be at 9. And then we'll have just about enough to clear next turn. Unless he has a way to get rid of our Tolvir Warden, which he might. We don't know. But when you have as many minions, like, Did you fix the laggy thing or no?
I think it was the screen share.
Okay.
Hey,
There we go. So we now have Toxmonger online. We can just clear the board and just start pushing damage. He's going to get rid of it as soon as he can. So maybe I should have picked a taunt minion. But yeah, this is about to get really, really awesome.
I love how appropriate her voice line is with this deck. Like, it's
I didn't
fucking
even
dope.
think about that.
One
Very
shot,
true
one
in this
kill. It's
case.
very, very snipery, and yeah, it's dope. So he's odd druid, so he doesn't have a swipe,
Yes,
right?
he's odd. So he doesn't have swipe. He does not have spreading plague. He might have starfall, I think.
Or spellstone.
Look at this. He's dropping that.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have anything to deal with my board. He's just about to get wrecked. So I'm going to go ahead and do Spellstone just because I know he can't do anything about it. Screw it. Let's just go ahead and play it. I feel like he can't do anything. Maybe I'm wrong, but we are already halfway through our deck, so we can probably tracking to pick up the other Toxmonger if we need it. And we have Houndmaster Shaw, so we can Houndmaster Shaw and turn these ones that don't have Rush or Charge into poisonous minions that do have Rush and Charge, and just clear up anything he drops. But we do have the Stone Dust board, so we don't even need to worry about that yet. We have a lot of outs right now.
Okay.
So he just completely abandoned his odd idea. It's weird to me, but whatever. I think he did the poisonous spiders just because he wants to get rid of my Toxmonger.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to let him. So let's just go ahead and deal with that.
You're gonna use yeah, okay.
Yep. Let's push some more phase damage. I'm gonna save Wandering Monster just because I know that I've got another Spellstone in the deck. Getting a Witchwood Grizzly. Gloomstag. I feel like this guy hasn't worked with this deck enough to know that Gloomstag is kind of crappy if you're witching out it. But maybe he has, I don't know. So, let's see.
Do you have a way? Okay, yeah. Even with the heal?
Let's just go ahead and finish this.
Yeah. Alright.
So that's Poison Toys. Shows you some of the strengths of it. So, what are we talking about now, Mr. Setsuko?
We might as well just use our real names in the future. They're gonna show up everywhere. It's like uncontrollable. I was thinking about doing it anyway, but alright, so let's talk Poison Toys. Alright.
Okay.
Do I have any suggestions?
Probably. You're a critical asshole.
I think overall it's pretty solid. I don't know how I feel about Flesh Eating Ghoul.
Yeah, that's kind of a flex spot. Like if somebody can, like, I would love for somebody to actually watch our show and then like submit a better version of my deck list to me, and then I would play that deck. But I've actually had modest success with this in ranked ladder. Like, I think I'm at like 45%. But I honestly feel like, and this is probably going to sound really pompous, but this is a really high skill level deck. You need to know exactly what you're mulliganing for against every single matchup, and if you don't, you're going to lose. But I've had a lot of matchups where I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do in this matchup, and then I ended up winning when I thought it was impossible, just because there are a lot of different options with this deck.
What about a Witch's Cauldron?
I
mean, the flesh-eating ghoul, okay, you put it online, you get some bonus attack, but it seems like you have a pretty good, way to control the board, and you're trading things in to kill things. I'm thinking, like, if you put the Witch's Cauldron in there, you may just get, like, extra face damage.
Yeah, you might. Yes. The thing about Flesh-Eating Ghoul, Houndmaster Shaw, Toxmonger, they're all of these cards that you don't play in a vacuum. They all have to have like something else going on with them, or they're just bad.
Right.
And I don't want to have too many of those. So I know I already have Flesh-Eating Ghoul, but I feel like if you're going to sub it out for something, you should probably just sub it out for something better. I don't know what that is.
Animal Companion.
I already have. Don't I already have 2 Animal Companions?
No.
I guess I got rid of them.
Yeah,
no,
man.
I don't have 2 Animal Companions. Yeah, maybe just an Animal Companion.
Animal Companion is really strong, so.
It is. It is. It helps you control the early games. That might be pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's my only thing there, just from seeing it the one time. Yeah, I think overall just Animal Companion, whatever you get from it is probably just better. I mean, Leok might not be amazing, but still could make sense.
Leok's pretty good with this deck when you consider how many 1-drops you have, though.
But if they all have poisonous, I mean, if they don't have a poisonous, for you don't have Toxmonger online, then yeah, the extra attack is pretty solid. So.
Yeah, but like the point of it is to control the board. After you control the board, you have to start dealing face damage. In which case, Leok is pretty good.
Yeah, Leok could be pretty good with your Spellstones and that kind of stuff too. So, yeah, we'll probably do that. All right, so let's go through and check the epics and legendaries.
Okie dokie.
If there are any.
There are.
Several. All right, so Houndmaster Shaw.
Houndmaster Shaw is good, but I don't want to say that you can substitute him for Tundra Rhino because that's very specifically beast. This isn't a very beast-oriented deck. There are very few beasts in this. Let's see, you've got Stone Tusk Boar, which is already got charge.
Yep.
So there's not really any point playing it there. You have Spellstone, which you can't play the same turn. Houndmaster Shaw helps enable Toxmonger, but not really necessary. I think if you're going to take out Houndmaster Shaw, what you should probably do instead is sub in another 1-cost card that's going to get you some value. Like maybe Glacial Shard, something that's going to kind of slow down your opponent while giving you more tempo. Maybe Firefly. Maybe you want to be able to drop multiple poisonous minions. I would just generally pick another 1-drop that's going to help you gain tempo.
Maybe like a South Sea Deckhand.
Yeah, South Sea Deckhand is really good. Yeah, actually, because I've got Candle Shot and Eaglehorn Bow. I might even just put that in instead of
Flesh-Eating Ghoul.
Well, yeah, I could do that instead of Flesh-Eating Ghoul. I'm trying to think if I want that instead of Stone Tusk Boar. Stone Tusk Boar is better if you don't have any weapons, which does happen sometimes, but it's not that common. Yeah, so that would be a pretty good substitution in general. You could substitute 1 Stone Tusk Boar and Houndmaster for some South Sea Deckhands.
So do you get like hard wrecked by AoE?
Yes.
Okay.
This deck just loses a lot to like Q-Block and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons behind Deathstalker Rexar and Azalina Soul Thief. You have multiple kind of win conditions. And I'm not saying you're just going to win by playing Azalina Soul Thief because you don't have any demons that died, but it can give you some fuel, and maybe you can patch things together just by having a full hand of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And actually nowadays, Deathstalker Rexar is so powerful, you stand a decent chance. I'm not going to say a good chance, but a decent chance of being able to come back against something like Q-Block.
So we obviously can't swap out the Toxmongers, right? That's the whole point of the deck.
That's the whole point, yeah.
Those are epic. And then after that, it's just Deathstalker Rexar and Azalina Soul Thief.
Yeah. Let's see. Azalina. What else could we do instead of Azalina?
Well, Azalina is
You know,
there
actually,
as like I'm out of options kind of deal, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I don't expect people to just like say, "Well, I don't have Azalina. Well, I'm going to put in Deathwing." Although Deathwing might not be a bad idea. So if you aren't out of options, if that's not a big problem, something you might be able to do. Let's see. Splitting Festeroot will buy you some time, but that's also epic. You could always just put in some big taunts like Giant Mastodon. That would be kind of clutch late game. Let's see, what else do we got here? Savannah Highmane, I mean, it's just always a good capper.
Would you put in some more card draw?
I mean, the thing about it is, most card draw isn't one cost. So it's not poisonous. And there isn't anything that synergizes with a deck that isn't one cost and isn't Hunter. So I don't really know.
What about a Cult Master?
Yeah, Cult Master. That's a good idea.
Because if you're out of options, but you've got this board full of these 1/1s, and you can drop a Cult Master and trade a whole bunch of them, that refills your hand and gives you more options.
You could you could play Cult Master and then play some Stone Tough Boars and just get some value. So that's not a bad idea. Yeah, it's a really good idea.
I think Cult Master would probably be an okay replacement for both Rexar and Azalina, because you're really like, that's what it is. It's just figuring out, because one of the versions of the Dragon deck that I made was focused around like killing your own stuff, because that's what you have to do to activate Wing Blast and Carrion Drake anyway. So I had Cult Masters in there for the card draw and stuff like that, and it's a totally different type of deck than what we showed here on stream. But I mean, I was able to get like Unleash the Hounds combos and all kinds of stuff, and the card draw really helps. And in your case, you just had a bunch of 1/1s. A lot of them you were going to trade anyway for poisonous, so I think Cult Master would be a good substitution.
I think that is a really good call, which is weird because you always think of it as more of an arena card. But something I've seen even like pro streamers and stuff talking about is this expansion is really inspiring a lot of thinking about bad cards and being like, well, that actually might be pretty good now. Yeah. And I think that's kind of the situation here.
All right. Well, we do have one final match. And this is going to be...
Who's me? Reign Supreme.
Dragon versus Poison Toys. All right, what are our predictions? All right, I think I'm going to get wrecked.
Well, I think it depends a lot on my kind of draw. But I kind of... Well, no, you have single target removal. Like, as long as you save it for my Toxmonger, I think you're probably going to beat me. But we'll see.
I think I'm going to get wrecked.
Because there's not really... Hunter doesn't really have a good answer for the Spellstone. You have to use, like, multiple different things for the Spellstone. And you're not running Spellstone, and I am, so that's kind of bad for you.
Yeah. Oh. Obviously, we're not going to talk about our mulligans and stuff, because we're facing off against each other here.
Okay. So I'm mulliganing really hard for something that's going to screw him over.
Well, we also know each other's decks, was just kind of,
So when I lose, I'm going to feel even worse about it.
Nah. It might just be who gets Rexar first, too. That's a thing I could see happening.
Yeah. You have a lot more value. I have a lot more, I guess, tempo.
They can't see your cards, so they'll just have to deal with that.
That's true. Well, they'll figure it out later, I guess. Let's see. I don't think you really have any 3-drops. You got Animal Companion. Come, my pretty ones. Oh, nice. No!
Huffer.
Puppy!
No, don't do it. Don't kill him. Oh, you freeze them. That's no fun.
Yeah, and I'm doing this all
What?
out of order.
What?
Yeah, go suck a fuck.
What are the chances
I
that's...
told you, man.
What
You
are the
don't
chances
know.
that's
You
an
don't know about
explosive
Raven
shot?
Caller.
Ah, man. What are the chances that that's an explosive shot?
None. It's an explosive trap.
Well, you know what I mean. If it's... Alright. I think I just do it. Yep.
Oh! That's not good.
I keep waiting for this damn Toxmonger to drop now. I'm like, no, don't do it.
I'm actually kind of running low on 1-drops, so we'll see what happens.
Oh, that's mean.
Yeah, this turn's about to get real fucking. Use that wing blast. No! Come on! Flesh-eating ghoul was almost really awesome there for a second.
Oh, shit. That's not good. This is not what I wanted to do this turn, okay? But I guess I will. Okay. What?
The light protects me.
The menagerie is for guests only.
That was me not remembering. I was like, how does explosive trap work again? Couldn't remember if it was attack hero or not. See, I'm way out of practice with these hunters. Shit. Trigger my secrets, okay?
Let me do it once I've got like a full board to deal with them. You dirty bastard.
You know it. Oh, I'm gonna stop being greedy with this.
Your soul is in my hands.
Look what I have.
Nah, I think you got me on this one. I like that this is a close game, though. I like that.
Yeah. I'd be a little more concerned if I didn't know what was in your hand.
Come, my pretty bird.
You can never be
No.
sure.
Oh, no, I don't know what's in your hand. Oh, God.
We're gonna try. See if we get something. Shit.
Like a
I'm
doomsayer.
gonna die no matter
Oh,
what,
that's
aren't I?
nice.
That was stupid. Because now I gotta deal with the fucking... Oh, I didn't get the bear! You didn't get the bear! It has to actually hit your face for you to get the bear. That's awesome.
Once upon a time.
Get a Deathwing Dragon Lord.
So I've got one turn, unless I can craft a beast that can heal my face on the next turn. No, I forgot. You got killed from man. That's right.
I drew Houndmaster Shaw too, so that would have been some decent Houndmaster Shaw and 2 Nightmare Amalgams. That's some good board control. Yeah, that was pretty close.
It was. It was. I didn't.
Alright.
I didn't draw like I had wanted to, but that's one of the big problems with a deck that hinges on one specific card. So.
All right, well, that is our Hunter Showcase featuring the Drake Hunter and Poison Toys deck. Got to see him. I'm glad we both won our, solo matches. That's always nice. Hey, this deck can work sometimes when your opponent totally misplays their Silence Priest.
Yeah, or they've got some sort of off the wall druid deck that doesn't actually work.
I think you just put so much pressure on that druid. He was like, I don't know what to do now.
I think if you're playing like an odd deck that focuses on value, any deck that focuses on value is just going to lose against a poison-oriented deck. That's almost impossible to win that matchup.
Yeah, and I always wanted to make a poison-oriented deck that worked, so I'm glad that this Toxmonger one is working, and I'm only missing 2 cards from it, so one of them's Toxmonger, which I'll craft, the other's Azalina, which, I'll just throw a Cult Master in there and play around with it, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I actually crafted 2 Toxmongers just for this deck, so I was like, that's what I want to make. It looks fun, and it is. It's a fun deck.
Yeah. All right, so the final thing is choosing the class for next week. I had a question, though, before we choose a class. Do we want to cooperatively do Monster Hunt next Friday instead? Or do we just want to go into the next class?
I think we should just go into the next class because we just started this expansion, and I don't want to take time out because our show is based around
we
decks.
can
It's not based around Monster Hunt.
We can do Monster Hunt once we've gotten through all the classes for sure. I just wanted to see if we wanted to do it while it was new. I'm not really. I know we're going to be playing it individually anyway, so. Okay, so I guess that means we're on to choosing the class. It's up to me this time. What were the classes we said we were going to avoid? Warrior?
I think, well, the main ones in the meta are like Shaman, Mage, and Paladin, and Warlock.
Shaman, Mage, Paladin, Warlock.
But, I mean, you can pick any of those too if you want. I don't care.
I've got a druid deck I like, but I don't want to do it yet.
Okay. Well,
just because that doesn't give me anything to do, this week to work on, because I pretty much already have it the way I want it to be. So I'm not going to pick druid.
So your choices are warrior, rogue, and something else.
No.
Warrior, rogue,
I really don't care.
Warrior, rogue, and priest. It's your choice. I mean, I can make the decision for you, but it's your choice.
Yeah, you could pick, but we'll just say I picked.
Okay, I haven't made any priest decks yet this expansion, so let's do priest.
Okay. So that's going to be the end of the show. Join us next week when we do a priest deck showcase. And you have any ideas off the top of your head?
I mean, Lady in White is just so powerful.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might just have to do that, but that just seems like such a gimme. So I'm probably going to try to avoid that and do something else instead.
I'm probably going to do Lady in White if I feel like crafting her, because I have a deck that is healing and Cthulhu based and works really well with Lady in White. But if I don't feel like crafting her or don't draw her over the course of the next couple days, I really don't know. So we'll figure it out. Priest is another class that I don't play very much and don't have a lot of recent experience with, so it should be interesting to see what we come up with. Hopefully, the decks are as interesting and kind of off the beaten path as these Hunter decks were. I had a lot of fun, and we'll see you next week.